Out. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for coming to this session on how to succeed at an American university. I ask that everyone please stay muted for the duration of the presentation, and at the end you'll have an opportunity to ask any questions. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel, so if you don't feel comfortable being recorded on camera, feel free to leave your camera off when asking questions, or you can type any questions into the chat box, and I will address those at the end as well. I want to first welcome you all again to UC and to the United States. We're so happy that you're here and that you chose UC as a place to further your education. Our office at UC International recognizes what a huge step it is to pursue education in a different country, and we have so much respect and admire the bravery of all of our students who come here to study. So we hope you feel welcomed, and please know that we're here to support you in any way that we can throughout your time here. So my name is Kelly Plazabat, and I'm a program coordinator in the UC International Services Office. Our student services and support team, or also known as our programming team within International Services, we provide social, cultural, and educational activities and programs that serve and connect our international student population with one another, with American students, and with the UC and Cincinnati communities. I also serve as an academic support liaison for international students, and I'll go into more details in a couple of slides about what exactly that means and what type of support I can offer. But a little bit about me. I'm a two-time graduate of the University of Dayton here in Ohio. Dayton is about an hour north of Cincinnati, but I grew up in the Chicago area and I lived there until I came to Ohio for college. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in communication in 2015 and my master's degree in college student personnel in 2019. I've previously worked as an education abroad advisor, so kind of on the other side of international education with sending our students abroad to study at other universities. During graduate school, I worked as a residence coordinator for a global learning living community. So it was with one of the residence halls where a lot of our exchange and international students lived. And prior to going to graduate school, I taught English in Thailand for about 7 months. A fun fact about me is that I've traveled to around 35 different countries. So I love to travel and I love learning about other cultures. So that's kind of an introduction of myself. Today's session is also going to include introduction of my role as an academic support liaison and the type of support that I can offer you. I'm going to give kind of an overview of US academic culture and some tips to navigate the differences that you might find in the US higher education system versus, excuse me, versus the academic settings that you're used to. Next, I'll talk about some of the academic campus resources that we have here at UC to support you, as well as other campus resources that maybe aren't directly related to academics, but are resources to support you in other ways that could be inadvertently affecting how you're doing in the classroom. Then I'll talk about some of the events our office has coming up and some other programs and workshops that you can expect during this semester. There'll also be some time at the end for me to answer any questions that you might have. So I want to kind of preface this by saying that you all may have various priorities for your time here at UC. Some of you may be here in the US and at UC for the CPT or OPT opportunities to gain work experience in the US or for research experience. Some of you may be interested in learning about the cultural aspects of living in the US, meeting American friends, and participating in US cultural events. But this presentation is not going to cover information about CPT. I'm not going to be kind of focusing on college culture in a broad sense. It's really going to focus on something that all international students at the university have in common, which is taking classes and kind of the academic tips of how to be successful here. So these are some of the things that I can do as the academic support liaison from UC International. I can give you, tips for adapting to a new learning environment. When I was in college, I studied abroad for a semester in Italy. And like I mentioned, I used to teach English at a university in Thailand. So I have been in a similar position of needing to adapt to a different type of education system and style. That's a photo of me with my students in Thailand on the slide. And then I can also connect you to various campus resources at UC, help you get in touch with your academic advisor or your professors, and really provide space for you to voice any of your academic concerns. You can email me for advice about, an issue you're having in the classroom, or if you're having trouble communicating with a professor and you need kind of advice on how to approach a conversation with them, I can assist you with that. So I'm really here to support your overall personal, academic, and professional growth, and just here to serve as an additional resource here on campus for you. So some objectives for this presentation are for you to become familiar with who I am, what my role at UC involves, and for you to be able to identify key strategies for being successful at a US university. And this is a space for me to share UC resources with you that are available to support you academically and personally. So now I'm going to kind of give an overview of US classroom culture. So I'll talk about what a syllabus is and what types of information you can find in the syllabus. I'll also talk about what you can expect in terms of US classroom environment, the relationships between professors and students and what that looks like. And I'll touch a little bit on academic integrity and plagiarism as well. So the syllabus is a document that you will receive in every class on the first day of class, or sometimes your professors might email it to you in advance. If they do email it to you, make sure to look over it, but your professors will go over it thoroughly with you on the first day of class. The syllabus includes things like the instructor's contact information, where their office is located, when their office hours are, which is when they'll be in their office and available for you to come drop in and chat with them. It'll also include their email address and possibly other methods of preferred communication. The syllabus will include a description of the course and what will be covered in the course, learning objectives, so what is intended for you to learn in that class. And it will also include a schedule of readings or assignments so you can stay on track or plan ahead. It's also where you can find policies specific to that class. So it will include things like how the grading will be conducted, what the attendance policy is. So sometimes professors might allow you to maybe miss one class or miss two classes, and then you'll start being penalized for additional classes that you miss. Whatever that policy is will be laid out in the syllabus. It will also include the professor's policy on late assignments and whether late assignments will be accepted at all. And it will include some information on academic misconduct and the consequences for not abiding by those policies. So in the US classroom, these are some of the preferred teaching methods. Some professors might have classes that are largely lecture style, where the professor is at the front of the class, giving you the information, just kind of talking at you with maybe a PowerPoint and expecting you to, take notes on what they're saying. Most professors will also incorporate small or large group discussions as part of the class. And here in the US, you are expected to participate in discussion when that is, happening in the class. So I know that can feel really unnatural or scary for a lot of international students who come from academic cultures where you're kind of just supposed to absorb information and not really voice your own thoughts in class or challenge the professor at all. But in US academic culture, it is highly encouraged to speak up in class and voice your thoughts on the topic that you're learning about. A lot of professors will even give grades for participation. So if you don't speak up in class, that could negatively affect your overall grade in that class. Another teaching method professors will incorporate is application of theory. So this can be in the form of case studies where you learn about something and then have an example provided where you need to arrive at a conclusion based on what you learned. In US higher education, there's also a lot of group work and group projects. So you'll be expected to meet and work with your peers, both inside and outside the classroom. And professors want to see that you're able to apply what you learn in the class to the professional opportunities that you engage in, whether that's through internships, co-op, or on-campus jobs, etc. So your role as a student, these are some of the expectations of you. Your role is to listen in class, take notes on what is being said, and complete readings. You're also expected to think critically about the content that you're learning. So again, you're encouraged to have your own opinions and to express those opinions and perspectives in class. In the US, it is a lot more acceptable to challenge your professors if you don't agree with them. Again, that can seem really unnatural, but professors here are not seen as kind of the be-all end-all holder of knowledge like they are in some other countries. It's more normal to engage in dialogue and voice your own opinions in class. And lastly, your role is to demonstrate understanding of the material through discussions, through being prepared for quizzes, or through answering questions in class if a professor calls on you, etc. So this slide demonstrates how you might be evaluated in class and what factors could all contribute to your overall grade in a class. I used to work as a study abroad advisor, and I would mostly advise American students who are going to study abroad in other countries. And the biggest piece of feedback that I would always get from students when I would, ask about how they were adjusting to academics in a different part of the world, and particularly in Europe, would be that they weren't expecting the entire class to be just kind of based on one final exam at the end of the semester, or maybe 2 exams, a midterm and a final. So those students weren't used to not knowing what their grade was throughout the semester, or so much of their grade being based on maybe 1 or 2 factors. So here in the United States, these are all things that you could be graded on throughout the semester. You could be graded on attendance. So again, make sure that you're actually going to class. I know in a lot of other cultures, it's more self-study, and as long as you take the exam at the end of a term, you don't necessarily need to go to every class. But in the US, that's not the case. You are expected to be in class. And I already talked about, class participation and group projects, but those are also things that you will receive grades for. Additionally, Canvas discussion. So Canvas is an online tool for faculty to upload course content or to accept assignments, and students can submit their work on the platform and collaborate with instructors and other students within Canvas. So sometimes you'll be expected to be part of online discussion boards in Canvas, and you'll receive grades for that as well. And then you'll also be evaluated on any written exams or oral exams, quizzes, and papers. So there's kind of a lot of different things that could be going into your overall grade in a class. All of these things could be equally weighted as well. You'll be able to find the breakdown of what percentage of your grade each of these items will account for in the syllabus that you'll receive for each of your classes. So some of you may be coming from academic settings where the student-professor relationship is a lot more formal, or some of you might come from academic settings where it's a little bit less formal, or maybe it's more formal in some ways and then less formal in other ways. But, you know, for example, when I was teaching English in Thailand, my students were much more formal in the ways that they would address me in person. And the university was more formal in that all the students, you know, had to wear a certain uniform every day. But it was also less formal in other ways. Like my students would regularly, you know, ask me to hang out with them outside of class, and that was very normal. Or instead of emailing me, students would message me on Facebook to let me know that they weren't going to be in class that day. So in the US, the relationships between professors and students is basically regarded as a business relationship, based on academic and professional mentorship rather than a familial relationship. And in the US, email is always the best method of, you know, communication with your professors. When you email a professor, make sure that you always start by addressing it to them and letting them know who you are. Also make sure that you're regularly checking your email account, as that's how people at the university are going to get in touch with you and contact you with important information. If you're unsure how to address your teacher in general, start by calling your teachers professor. Unless they ask you to call them by another title, or if they sign their emails with a different title in front of their names. Some professors might prefer that you call them by their first name, but only do that if, you know, they tell you that that's preferred. The classroom dress code in the US is very informal, so it's not uncommon for students to wear sweatpants or t-shirts to class. And I know that might be very different than where some of you are from, but you know, you should wear whatever you're most comfortable in to class. Professors schedule weekly office hours, and this is a good opportunity to introduce yourself early in the term. So that way, when you have a problem with your coursework or you have a question, you'll feel more comfortable, going to them and talking with them about that, because they already, know who you are and you've had kind of an informal introduction of yourself already. So I'd recommend, introducing yourself early on to your professors. Use the office hours to ask questions or discuss coursework, and request assistance before you fall behind. So if you want to have, a longer conversation about academic goals or professional mentorship, then it's best to schedule a separate appointment with them. When you talk to or email your professor, be direct and to the point. Keep the conversation focused on class questions or problems. It's also common in the US for there to be teaching assistants in a class, or TAs, and they serve as just kind of assistants to the professor, or in some cases, they may actually be the one teaching the class. So if you have a teacher that, looks like they could be about your age or looks really young, it's likely a graduate student TA who's helping out with the class. It's also, next slide, it's not going for some reason. There we go. It's also important to stay in touch with your academic advisor. So every student at the university is assigned an academic advisor. Most of you have probably already either had a meeting with them or have communicated with them in some form. They're the ones who are going to work with you to navigate your college experience, making sure that you're staying on track for degree completion. They'll discuss your course requirements with you and make sure that you're planning out your schedule appropriately. They're also another resource to advocate for you and connect you to campus resources. If you're having any type of academic problem, they're the best people to talk to. And you can schedule an appointment with your academic advisor via My Bearcat Network, or you can email them directly. If you don't know who your academic advisor is, you can find that within the MyBearCat network or in Catalyst. I think it's also in iBearCats Global. So most UC accounts that you log into, you should be able to find out who your academic advisor is and their contact information. So to touch a little bit on academic integrity and plagiarism, plagiarism is the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as your own. So these are all the different ways that UC defines plagiarism. So submitting somebody else's published or unpublished work as your own without crediting that person, submitting as one's own original work without referencing to the source of the material where you found it, submitting as one's own original work produced through unacknowledged collaboration with others, or submitting one's own previously written work without modification and instructor permission. So basically, any information that you find that doesn't come from, your own brain, you need to cite that information in your classes. And you can't submit assignments that you have already submitted for a different class without modifying them for the class that you're submitting it to, or if the instructor gave you permission to do that, you need to make sure that they have given you permission. So I know for a lot of international students, this can be kind of a different concept, and it's something that's not very familiar to a lot of students, but UC does take plagiarism very seriously, and there are serious consequences for it. And so I would, do your best to become very familiar with the policies and, know what that is and what you can do to prevent unintentional plagiarism. Olga Hart is an international student liaison for UC libraries, and she's also a really good resource for plagiarism and talking about this and defining it. And I would recommend, I can drop her email in the chat after this. I'd recommend getting in touch with her if you have any additional questions about plagiarism. So next, I'm going to go over some academic campus resources. But first, I want to really emphasize, before even getting into the various resources on campus, that you should use your resources. These are all free to UC students, the things that I'm going to go over, and they can help with a variety of topics or issues. It's just really important to, know that it's very normal to use any of the resources provided by UC to help you academically or personally. So these are some of the best academic campus resources at UC. I already talked about your academic advisor and what they can assist you with. The UC libraries are also a great resource for research support, for borrowing materials or books, and there are dozens of subject librarians who can help you find information on specialized subjects. Olga Hart, who I mentioned, she works in Langsam Library, and she is the librarian who works as an international student liaison, and is a really, really great resource to help you learn more about using the libraries on campus. The Learning Commons are kind of a hub of different academic resources on campus. I have a few of the services that they offer listed here, but there's a lot more that they offer as well. They have peer tutoring if you need help in a specific subject. They also have academic coaching, which is helpful for students who maybe don't need help in a particular subject, but just need help getting organized or learning how to be efficient with their study time. The Learning Commons also houses the Academic Writing Center, which provides free writing assistance to students. They host success skills workshops as well, which I'll talk a little bit more about on the next slide. At UC, We also have various resources that give English language support, which I will also go into more details about shortly. So these are some of the success skills workshops offered by the Learning Commons. Again, these are free 1-hour workshop sessions about a variety of topics. This is not the full list, but these are just some examples of the types of workshops that they offer. You can find a full list of sessions on the Learning Commons website. If you just, Google University of Cincinnati Learning Commons, you should be able to pull that up, and they'll be putting their spring schedule for these sessions out soon as well. So you can register for any of those if you're interested. At UC, we also offer English language support. So we have a Center for English as a Second Language, and that is an academic unit housed within the CECH College, and that provides ESL courses to international graduate and undergraduate students at UC. So if you, are interested in getting some additional English language experience and help, then that might be something that you could look into. Our office also hosts a weekly ESL conversation group that is free. So whereas the classes that you would enroll in through the Center for English as a Second Language, those are just like, normal classes that you would take at the university that you would have to enroll in and pay for. But the ESL conversation group that we have is a free opportunity to, meet with other students and an instructor weekly to practice English conversation skills in a casual and fun environment. There's different topics that they talk about each week, and they do a lot of fun activities and things too. So it's a good opportunity to meet people and to get involved. On the next slide, I think there's a video that the instructor, Benny, for the course put together to kind of promote the program. So I am just going to play that. Hopefully I shared my sound. I'm going to, it's just like music. So I think that even if it's not shared, that's not a huge deal, but I'm just gonna make sure that, okay, click that and that, and okay, now the sound is shared as well. Okay. Oh, oops, don't want to play that again. Want to go to the next slide. So that was just kind of a cute, fun video about the conversation group. So here's some more information about that group. This past fall, they transitioned back to being in person after a couple years of only having virtual meetings, and they'll be starting back up again on Thursday, January 19th. And they'll meet every Thursday for the spring semester from 5:45 to 7 p.m. Additional campus resources. I'm going to just briefly touch on some other resources at UC that aren't strictly academic resources, because there are a lot of outside factors that could negatively affect how you're doing academically, and it may not just be an issue of needing academic support. So having a healthy mind, body, and overall wellness will also help you be successful in the classroom. So these are some additional resources at UC to support your physical, mental, and overall health. We have counseling and psychological services, or CAPS, that provide mental health counseling. They do group therapy sessions as well, or crisis intervention. University Health Services is kind of like the doctor's office at UC. So they provide primary care. You can get any of your immunizations there, or any prescriptions that you need. And, they have that pharmacy as well. So, anything that you kind of need to go to like a regular doctor for, you can do that on campus at University Health Services, and you would have to make an appointment with them in advance. So it's not like an urgent care center kind of thing. It is kind of daytime hours during the week. And then the Student Wellness Center, they're an additional resource for wellness, but they provide sessions on, alcohol education or financial wellness, having healthy relationships in your life. So they kind of focus more on like overall holistic wellness. And then campus recreation is our gym facility. They offer fitness classes, they have intramural sports, and they also offer personal training as well. So these are just some additional, non-academic resources that could benefit you during your time here as well. Again, I want to just emphasize and reiterate to use your resources. So all of the resources that I have gone over are all free for students. So take advantage of them while you're here. They are used daily by UC students, so it's completely normal and encouraged for you to use them. If you want to, use one of these resources, if you want to go to the Learning Commons, but don't want to go alone or don't know how to get there or anything, let me know and I will go with you if I'm available. I'm gonna mute this person. So just let me know if you want to use any of these resources, and I would be happy to, take you there or go with you, because I just really want you to be able to take full advantage of any of the opportunities that UC offers to help you succeed. So these are some of the upcoming events being organized by our office in the coming weeks and months. So January 14th, we have a new international student bowling and pizza event. This has been sold out already. So if you didn't sign up for that already, then you're no longer able to sign up. Unfortunately, we did have, like a one bus load limit. And so we did sell out those tickets already. But January 25th, we have a hot chocolate meetup. I think that's going to be located at one of the parks near campus, and our graduate assistant is hosting that. And so you'll find any information about these upcoming events will all be in our newsletter that goes out every Tuesday. January 27th, our graduate assistant is hosting a Wingstop meetup. So that's a restaurant where you can go and eat chicken wings. I think there's going to be like a competition of who can eat the spiciest wing. So that'll be really fun. January 31st, they're going to a community CCM performance. So CCM is like our College of Music here at UC. And so they're going to go to one of their performances. And then February, I'm just gonna keep muting anybody who enters because it sounds like people aren't muted as they get in. So I apologize. But February 24th to the 25th, UCI will be hosting an overnight international student retreat and snow tubing. So that night during the retreat, we'll go to a place called Perfect North, and they have snow tubing. We'll get to go and, sit on tubes and go down the hill, and they have like bumps, and it's a really fun time. So I'd definitely encourage you to look out for information about that in our newsletter. So you can sign up for the retreat and join us for that experience, because it's a really good time. And then March 3rd, UCI is hosting an international student prom. So prom is usually something that US students have in high school, but a lot of international students we know didn't, have that at their home, schools and things. So we offer that opportunity for us to go and, get dressed up fancy and go to a nice place and eat dinner and dance. So it'll be a really good time. These are some presentations that are in the works for the coming semester or that are already kind of happening. So the first one, academic success at an American university, that is what you all are at right now. And then I also am working with Olga Hart and some others on campus to put together kind of a video series that talks more about academic integrity and preventing plagiarism. And then also I plan to offer a session on communicating with faculty and instructors that will go over things like how to write professional emails or how to approach your professor with questions, etc. And if there's any academic related topic that you want to learn more about, feel free to always let me know. I want to, offer sessions that are going to be beneficial to you all and make sure that those are things that are of interest to you. So if there's anything that you want me to, do an academic workshop on, please feel free to suggest them to me. So this is how you can contact me. You can always visit me in my office, but definitely reach out in advance to schedule a time because I am not in my office every single day. I work from home a couple days a week. And so you want to make sure that I'm here before coming to visit. And we're located in Edwards Center 1 up on the 7th floor. You could call me. This is my phone number, my office phone. So if you have, a question about anything or need, help about, anything academic related, like getting in touch with your professor, or if you're having an issue that you just, want advice about in terms of, things happening in the classroom, please let me know. And my email is also there as well. So thank you all so much for attending this presentation. I hope that you all learned something today, and I wish you the best for your first semester at UC. And please get in touch with me if there's anything at all that I can do to support you during your time here. And again, welcome to UC and welcome to the US. And we're so happy to have you all here. So at this time, I will take any questions that anybody has for anything that I've gone over, any kind of academic related topic. So you can either feel free to unmute yourself. Remember, this is being recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded and up on our YouTube page, then you don't have to unmute yourself and ask a question, but you can also type in the chat. That's perfectly fine as well. And I see that there is a question about where we can get the recording. So this will be posted on our YouTube channel. So our YouTube username is UC International. So you could find it there. It probably won't be posted until Monday, I would guess, because it needs to kind of process and whatnot, but we'll get that posted as soon as possible. And then we can send out links to the recording and the recording of the other session that was happening at the same time as this as well, so that you can have those links to access that. So we can send that out via email or maybe in our newsletter on Tuesday. But you also, like I said, can just go to YouTube and search UC International. And we have a lot of videos up on there, actually. So not just this recording, but there's a lot of useful resources up on our YouTube channel. So that's where you can find that Are there any other questions? I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and pull up the your faces so I can actually, or I guess not faces because cameras are off, but just so I can see your names. And I'll stay, on for a bit, and I have until, I think this is supposed to go till 10:30, so I have about 15 minutes to answer any questions that any of you might have. Also, feel free to leave if you don't have any questions. If you see allowing late arrival. So that is more of a question for the immigration advisors. So I'm assuming you're not here yet if you're asking about late arrival. I do know that, it's highly, highly recommended that you be here before classes start on Monday. But that would be more of a question for the immigration advisors. So I'll put their email into the chat as well, because I focus on academic success and kind of working with international students once they are here and helping you, be successful. And so late arrival is something that I'm not as familiar with, but I'll type the email for our advisors so you can ask them that. Yeah, then like I said, we'll stick around and kind of monitor the chat. If there are any other questions, if you don't have any, then you can feel free to leave. And thank you again for attending this presentation. But if you do want to stick around and ask a question, then I will be here. Do either of you two have any questions? I don't know if you're typing in the chat, so I can't see whether you're typing or not, but do you have a question? I know you just left and then rejoined, so I just want to see if you have any questions lingering. Or Mehran, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but do you have any questions? If not, I'll probably end this meeting here in about a minute. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thank you for attending. I hope you got something out of this presentation. And again, this will be posted on our YouTube. So you can watch it again there or share with anybody who did not get to attend. I saw you just unmuted yourself. So do you have a question? You unmuted and then remuted yourself. So I just want to see if you had a question. No? Okay. I'm going to end this then. Have a good rest of your day and have a good semester at UC. Bye.